Monster Hunter Wilds is the next game in Capcom's incredibly successful Monster Hunter franchise. You play as a professional monster hunter, protecting the balance of the ecosystem by hunting monsters, and using the resources you gain from hunts to craft ever more powerful weapons and armor in your quest to unravel the mysteries of the new lands. It's been described as having the most evolved action and improved immersion of any Monster Hunter game to date. But unfortunately, what it also has is a complete disregard for new players, with some of the most inaccessible systems and deliberately obtuse mechanics that I've seen in gaming in recent years. Welcome to Dom's Roundtable. I'm Dom, and this is my first thoughts and impressions on Monster Hunter Wilds. Before I jump into my review, I just wanted to quickly address my absence. As you can probably tell from my voice, I'm still recovering from an illness. I've actually had long COVID for about a month now, and I'm just now finally able to focus long enough to finish making a video. So this video marks my journey back to regular uploads within the next couple of days. Before we move on to the next part of the video, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Torn Banner Studios, and take a few moments to talk to you about their upcoming 8-player co-op survival horror game, No More Room in Hell 2, which you can try out for yourself right now using my link below. When this collaboration crossed my desk, it was a no-brainer for me. I've been so excited about this game for so long now, and I jumped at the opportunity to work with this studio. I'm loving the game so far, as you can probably tell from the multiple videos I've already uploaded, and I'm very excited for you to try it out too. No More Room in Hell 2 combines the best of old-school, suspenseful, anxiety-inducing survival horror in the early stages of the game, whilst you're alone and fending for yourself. But as you explore and find your teammates, it becomes this incredibly satisfying, intense, zombie-slaying gore-fest. As you work together to survive, complete objectives, and, if you're good enough and can stave off the horde, hopefully extract, level up your characters, unlock powerful abilities, and live to fight another day. So make sure you check out No More Room in Hell 2 by using my link in the description or the pinned comment. Feel free to check out my other No More Room in Hell 2 videos to get you up to speed with everything you need to know, and I'll see you in game, my friends. And now on with the review. I've always been told that if you enjoy a challenge, specifically games such as From Software's Soulsborne games and other similar Souls-like titles, that the Monster Hunter series will feel like home and will be right up your street. And as a gigantic Souls enjoyer with countless challenge runs under my belt, I was very excited to jump in and finally try my very first Monster Hunter game. I was initially very pleasantly surprised. I do have many great things to say about this game, and I am hoping that if I persevere, I can convince myself to really enjoy these games. But there were some roadblocks that are making me doubt whether I should continue. At its core, the monsters themselves, oh my god, are they cool. I adore the aesthetic of this game. The combat feels incredible. The movesets and the gameplay of both your own weapons and the enemies look awesome. Every hit, every move feels super impactful, and it's such a thrilling experience felling a beast. And I will go into greater detail on all of this later on in the video, because I've got some really positive things to say about the atmosphere, the combat, the graphics, the monsters, so many other things. But first, let me please talk about negatives and the seemingly total disregard for anyone who doesn't already know the franchise. As I say, it really feels like if you don't already know Monster Hunter inside out, upside down, and back to front, then you are just not allowed to enjoy this game. And that is such a shame, because this feels like a fantastic game, but I just don't know if I can go back to it. Again, please let me stress, one of my favourite types of games are the Soulsborne series. I do not want a game to spoon feed me, with my hand being held every step of the way. Long-winded tutorials are not for me. But at least please tell me what I'm looking at and give me the basic controls. Even the original Dark Souls did that. After the opening cutscenes, you are immediately bombarded with 14 weapons that mean absolutely nothing to you and are given no explanation. What came next was quite cool because you do get to try them all out against a barrel. The only problem is you basically have to guess the combos using the 5 or 6 different buttons that are linked to attacks. Because there is a helpful combo guide at the top right hand corner, which appears every time you perform an attack, but it only stays active for the split second you are performing that attack. So you have to spam that same attack over and over again, reading at the speed of light until you have finally grasped all of the possible follow-up attacks. And you then have to repeat this for each step of every possible combo just to learn what the weapon can do. And then, if you want to be fully knowledgeable going into this game, you need to repeat that whole process 14 times with every single weapon, until you have a decent feel for each of the weapons, so you can finally start the game with just the tiniest semblance of what to do. Now, I'm praying this may just be a beta thing, and that there'll be a clearer explanation of what things do upon release. But, and maybe you can confirm this for me, if this is all you get, it feels like this franchise is so deliberately vague with its explanations and descriptions just to gatekeep and give it the perception of difficulty. However, despite my rant, I still do love the combat, and I really wanted to look past this roadblock and force myself to get good with the weapons and enjoy the game. And I did have a lot of fun soloing a few of the tougher bosses in the beta with nothing more than my sword and my mount, the Sacred, which is really damn cool, and I believe that's a brand new addition to Monster Hunter. That is, however, until I got to my tent and saw the absolute clusterfuck that was my item box. Now, once I had completed the first few fights to get me used to my weapon, I was told to enter my tent and properly equip myself and set my radial menus with the appropriate actions and items for the battles ahead. Immediately, I'm presented with 6 different menus with loads of options that mean nothing to me. So I think, let's just go through from start to finish, left to right, and make sense of it. So I open my item pouch and I'm greeted with this. What the fuck is this? Now, I appreciate you're probably given many things up front in the beta that you won't start with in the main game, such as 1500 potions. But would it kill them to explain at least a bit of this menu? I have no idea what I am doing by moving stuff from the box to the pouch. 1 button press sometimes moves 3, it sometimes moves 30. How do I know when and why I'm transferring so many items? And they appear to be categorized in some way, but God knows what this categorization means. This is all just so overwhelming for a new player. It's too much, it puts you off, and it makes you not want to buy the full game and try to make sense of it. There are so many different similar items, such as the dung pod and the large dung pod. What makes it a large dung pod? Do I collect it? Do I craft it? Why would I use the large one over the regular one? This menu immediately raises 101 unanswered questions and makes the game so intimidating for newcomers. And speaking specifically about the large dung pod, the game kept advising me to use it for one of the boss fights to scare away the weaker members of the herd so I could fight the boss one-on-one. And sometimes I could get my radial menu to change to the large dung pod, but other times I seemed to just have a rod equipped, even though I felt like I was doing the exact same action every single time. It seems very unintuitive, and I'm fine with unintuitive systems if you're gonna explain them to me. But there are no less than 50 items here. To a newcomer, they all look identical. I have no idea when I should be using any of these over my weapon. And this is just the item box. As we go back to the previous screen and start to look at the ammo pouch and the crafting list and the radial menu, it just gets worse and worse and worse. None of this makes any sense. I'm just clicking random buttons and looking at random icons. It is just an absolute minefield, and it broke my heart to see this because I want to adore this game. People keep telling me if you're a Souls-like fan, you're going to love Monster Hunter. And I'm fine with games being complex and confusing. But if you are forced to resort to hours of guides just to understand it, that's a development issue, not a player issue. And then we get onto the equipment like the weapons and armor. Firstly, pretty much every single thing other than the base armor you start with looks utter shite. Why is most of it giving me negative resistances? And what are these equipment skills? Divine Blessing, Speed Eating, Stamina Surge, Free Meal. None of this is explained. What does this mean? What are group skills? What are set bonus skills? What does Powerhouse 1 mean? All of this is so ambiguous and off-putting as a new player. And then the final negative thing I wanted to talk about before we go on to the positives, the reasons I do genuinely want to try to love this game, is the posting and joining of quests along with the map. Firstly, what the hell is the difference between an optional quest, lobby member, link member, and SOS flare? It doesn't tell me anywhere, and this is all just gibberish. At one point I notice I can press square to look at details. So I do that, and it shows me nothing. It just tells me the name, I'm assuming, of the boss, but I don't know. And then it tells me, oh, you'll get some basic materials if you, beat it? It's just so vague and unhelpful. And then you've got the map, which is just as confusing. The first thing I want to show you, obviously it's really hard without you seeing the controller, but you hold L2 and R2 to zoom the map in and out. But you genuinely have to tickle it as gently as possible for it to not throw you in and out of the map at light speed. It is unnecessarily hard to control when every other thumbstick movement is really nice and smooth. It has a lovely level of acceleration, but trying to zoom in and out just goes mental. Why is that? And then you've got 100,000 icons on this map that mean nothing to me. Judging by the item box, I can match up most of them, so I'm assuming most of them are materials or monsters. But how does this help me? Is there not a way to turn off these icons so I can focus on something specific that I'm trying to find? And it isn't explained at all. These monsters that are wandering around, are they the same monsters I'm seeing on the join quest menu? Like, are other people fighting these? Are they exclusive to me? Is this like a private map I'm seeing? I have no idea how the server works. I have no idea if other people can see these monsters and if it's worth chasing them, or if by the time I get there someone else will have killed it. Why is it this vague? Why does it not tell me any of this information? I just hope to God that it does explain all of this in the main game, or it's really not going to attract any new players. I do have a bunch of positives to say on this game, but in summary, for the negative section of the video, basically, unfortunately to me, it feels like the developers themselves are trying to gatekeep the franchise so that only people who have been there from the very start and already fully and completely know what they're doing can enjoy the game. And just to go back and use From Software as another example, if they proved anything with Elden Ring, it's that this is not how you should create your games. If you make your game just a little bit more accessible, the hardcore fans can still enjoy the challenge, but you'll open it up to millions upon millions of new players and make it one of the biggest runaway successes in gaming history. And this is what I'm really hoping for Monster Hunter Wilds. I want it to be just a bit more accessible. Sod the elitists. We all want to enjoy it. It can still be hard and accessible. And I will talk about the reasons why I want to love it now. As I've mentioned, the combat is absolutely awesome. The monster designs and the movesets are so damn cool. And the weapon I ended up using for the most part made me feel like Sephiroth. I would jump up in the air, and then upon slamming down into the ground, I'd deliver like a dozen cuts in quick succession. It honestly felt like I was performing Octoslash. It feels so cool when you do start to learn the combos. I just wish I didn't need to attend a course to figure out how to do so. And you do have this focus button, but can anyone explain to me why there isn't a dedicated lock-on? Like, I only have so many fingers. It brings me back to that feeling of deliberately making the controls awkward just to raise the perceived difficulty. I'm sure that's something you could get used to. That's more of a me thing than a game thing. I like a lock-on, but I love that each fight is a proper hunt, with each monster reacting and behaving in different ways as they become more and more wounded. Some of them begin to weaken and limp and run away, whilst others may become enraged and are even more dangerous and deadly as they become closer to death. It's an incredibly cool system, and it makes every single fight not only unique, but very important and very impactful. You can never underestimate your opponent. The game demands an incredibly high level of skill, and I love that about this game. That alone makes me want to persevere and stick with it. I think it does that so well, and I'm really excited for more of that. That being said, I do wish there were a few more normal enemies to kill in between bosses. I personally never been a big fan of boss rush modes in games. I'd like a few fights in between that are quick and easy to build up that dopamine that don't take like 20 to 30 minutes. But I appreciate that's not what the franchise is all about. Again, that's more of a me thing. That's more of a want than a negative. Another incredible thing about this game is the co-op. Playing with a group of hunters is an awesome feeling. All working together, covering each other's weaknesses and empowering each other's strengths. I feel like if you play with a group of friends especially, and you all know your playstyles very well, you would just feel like such a badass, well-oiled machine. And every moment of Monster Hunter Wilds is going to be an absolute blast if you can play like that. However, it can feel a bit unfair if you just want to play solo, as there doesn't appear to be any scaling. I might be wrong, I haven't played for that long, and it might be different in the main game. I hope so, because sometimes you do just want to play solo. It's nice to have both options. And another thing I do want to say is I'm really hoping that the veterans of the series can let me know in the comments if the beta is an anomaly and if the game does a better job of explaining itself to you upon official launch. Because at the moment, I really want to love it. To become a professional monster hunter who understands every aspect of the game and can swap out my loadout with ease and instantly know which items and weapons are best for each situation, I just don't know at the moment if it would be worth going through all the guesswork and stress to figure it all out. So I'd probably say if this is a true reflection of the full game, that if you are a series veteran, this is going to be more of what you love, but bigger and better in every way. However, if you've never played something like this, be ready for either countless hours of practice and guesswork before you can fully embrace the experience, or I guess just Googling a bunch of guides and letting someone else teach you how to play the game. But if you need to do that, then it proves my earlier point correct, that the game should be doing a better job of arming you and equipping you. So make sure you check out No More Room in Hell 2 by using my link in the description or the pinned comment. Feel free to check out my other No More Room in Hell 2 videos to get you up to speed with everything you need to know, and I'll see you in game, my friends. So on that note, my friends, that is my initial thoughts of Monster Hunter Wilds. And all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.